काफी बड़ा परिवार है मेरा, यही संसार है मेरा। हर दिन मेरी कोशिश है इसे हरा भरा रखने की, कुछ कोशिश घर को मजबूत बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश घर को जीता जागता बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश बड़ों की सेवा की, कुछ कोशिश छोटों को बड़ा बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश नई दिशाएं दिखाने की, कुछ कोशिश उत्साह जगाने की। देश नाम है मेरे संसार का, इंडिया नाम है मेरे परिवार का। टाटा, कोशिश जिम्मेदारी निभाने की।
Friends, put your hands together to welcome on stage Quizmaster Big Brain.
A big hello and a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're with me, Big Brain, here today as we're going to pick action on the second zonal final of Tata Crucible for Campuses 2022. As we traverse across the length and breadth of this nation and pick our champions, it's now the moment for the champions to fight with each other and find a slot in the national final. Well, one among these worthy six from the Western Terrain is going to go into the national final. One among them will play another playoff, as we call it, or a playoff within the playoffs. And to find a slot in the final will be two people from those four runners-up of the four zonals. 75 the value, 5 seconds the time. You know that only too well as you've been following this season of Tata Crucible. Remarkable quizzers, not an easy zone at all. The Western Terrain has always been a remarkable one for Tata Crucible right through the years that we've been charming India with these quizzes. Before we take a look at them, ladies and gentlemen, remember, well, these are rounds where they are proctored, so they are in an environment where we've invited them to a location or we are with them at their location of choice. So it's clearly someone from our end who is observing the entire quiz as it plays out. So if we are ready, ladies and gentlemen, time for us to take a look at our six finalists here today from the Western Zone. Qualifying as our first finalist, representing the Indian Institute of Management from Raipur. Welcome to this final, Nikhil. There he is. Neighbouring Nikhil as our next finalist from IIM Indore. With us here today, Kaivalya. Welcome to you. Neighbouring Kaivalya from IIM Ahmedabad, as the IIMs excel in this region, as they have in the north and in the east as well. With us here today is Lucky. Welcome to you. Neighbouring Lucky, representing the SJM SOM from IIT Bombay, is Preetham. Welcome, Preetham. Neighbouring Preetham as our next contender here today from SLS Pune, representing the law fraternity, is Samhit. Welcome to you. And completing our lineup here today from Nagpur, representing SRCEM, Shavik. Welcome to the final. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are our six contenders or champions from the Western Terrain of Tata Crucible. One among these six will go through, and of course, as life would be, we're going to play on grit, guts and glory with a little bit of shine. I'll come to the shine bit in just a moment, but for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, time for us to get started with the first frontier. We've seen the finalists. May the best among them go through to the big final. We have one qualifier who's gone through from the zonal that we've had, which is Pranav from IIT Madras. So he has sailed through into the big final. We're going to identify our second one here today. We pick action on the first frontier of our game here today. Time to find your grit. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the second zonal final from the Western terrain. The first question on your screens, 75 the value, 5 seconds the time, on your screens now. This was a brand that completely changed the age trajectory, Kaivalya.
I think this is from Fast Track, owned by Titan.
Perfect, quick and fast. He's on a fast track as well with that speed on the answer. Zoop really changed the way Titan would position itself. Maybe in school you wore a Zoop somewhere. Kaivalya gets a 75 on that. He's absolutely right. As we go to the next one on your screens, early start for I Am Indore. Second question on your screens now. This is an important brand. Fast Relief, Kaivalya again.
From Novartis, I believe.
He'll take a negative on that, rushing his answer into it. It's from GSK. He takes a negative on that one from the world of health and hygiene, if one would call it that. Fast Relief, not so much for Kaivalya. But of course, for us, when it comes to health, hygiene and wellness, our partner at Tata Crucible has been Tata 1mg. And they are advocates of health and wellness in a big way. Moving on to our next question here today in the Western Zonals on your screen. Here it is. This is Krishna Lal Thirani. He heads a company which is headquartered in the western region of India where you all come from. Reputed for a range of stationery products, they also created something which was so important in the olden days in India, especially when a lot of production happened in duplications. What is this famous company that he heads? Nobody taking a shot at it, 5 seconds running away. This is Kores India, that's Kores. Tough one, no one on the buzzer. As we go to the next one, hands on the buzzer as we go to the question coming up on your screens now. This was an early drawing. Shavik has gone for it. From Nagpur.
I think I pressed it by mistake.
You still can try or not trying? Well, he'll take a minus 75 on that. He took too long to get that right. The answer was Flipkart.com. Well, the original logo of Flipkart, which came from the cart that they drew, and a portion of the F that came from the stick of the cart. 2 questions remaining. Shavik taking a negative. On to the next one on your screens now. During the IPL, a brand installed a 12 feet holographic statue of the famous umpire C.K. Nandan. This was at the Marine Drive in Mumbai. Which brand was this which said, he is a dash umpire? Someone's gone for it. Preetham it is. Yes, Preetham.
I'll say this is Cadbury and 5-star.
He is a 5-star umpire. Absolutely perfect. Well played on that one. Beautiful. Integrating a third umpire. Still alive but totally deserves this. Beautiful, beautiful answer. He gets a 75 as we move to the next one. The final one, early days here today. On your screens now. This is a campaign which says cooking has no gender. It is promoted by a famous company whose history, Preetham's gone for it.
I'll say this is the TTK group, Prestige and all of that.
Extremely well played. Preetham gets another 75. Early days into this game here today, but he's got that right. It's a campaign which says, especially while celebrating Mother's Day and so on, that there is absolutely no gender in our kitchens these days, which is so true. And well, ladies and gentlemen, early days at Tata Crucible. You're watching the campus edition for 2022. This is the second zonal final from the western terrain of India. On the other side of this break, we will show you, of course, on the binge board where people stand.
You gotta move it to the max. You gotta move it in the show. You gotta move it to the max.
The new Nexon EV Max moves you to the max.
So, ladies and gentlemen, very early terrain here, but let me start with the audience question for all of you watching this. Just key into the chat box. If you're right and you're fast, you stand to win a prize from the Tatas. All right. I'm going to give you 4 names. You've got to crack the answer from the 4 names that I'm going to give you. Klingveld, Pete, which is actually Barclay Pete, Marwick, and Jodler. All these will lead you to something huge from the world of consulting. Key in your answers and let's see if you get that right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Tata Crucible Campus Quiz 2022. This is Rashmi Furtado, and we are into the second zonal playoff of this quiz, which is, of course, the Western region. But before we move on into the next round, let's take a quick look at the binge board. Too soon to comment, but as of now, Preetham is doing very well. He's leading with 150 points. Shavik took an unfortunate negative, so he's on -75. Everyone else is still on nil. But as I said earlier, too soon to comment. We have many more rounds to go. We'll see how all of this, the dynamics of the scoreboard, the bench board changes over the next couple of rounds. Let's move on to the next round, ladies and gentlemen. Share the shine. Here we go. In this edition of Tata Crucible, we are celebrating the 75th year of Indian independence. And along with that, it's just apt that we celebrate Indian women achievers. And Share the Shine is completely about the women achievers of our country. Contestants, the rules of the game and scoring pattern is absolutely the same. Remember, it's all about women. Remember the context before you answer the questions. 3 questions is what I have for you. The first question, coming up on your screen now. Identify her. Lucky on the buzzer. Go ahead, Lucky.
Yeah, Falguni Nair of Naika. She's an alum of IIM Ahmedabad as well.
All right. Getting a +75 on that is Lucky. He said he's an alum of IIM Ahmedabad. So I guess that's the reason he was the first one to hit that buzzer. I would have actually felt bad if you hadn't gone on the buzzer, Lucky. Good for you. +75 on that one. Let's move on to the next question coming up now. Which electric player is created by this lady? Her name, Hemalata Annamalai. Huge player. Preetham, go ahead.
I'll say this is Ampere.
Ampere Electric, beautiful answer, giving him a +75 on that one. She's the founder and CEO of Ampere Electric. Moving on to the last question of this round. On your screen, here we go. Who is this famous lady? All right, Shavik on the buzzer, go ahead.
Anita Roddick of Body Shop.
Oh, taking a -75 again is Shavik. I see Lucky and Preetham again getting a little antsy on that one. I think they wanted to press the buzzer. The answer I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is Vandana Luthra from VLCC. She's the one who created VLCC. Vandana Luthra would have given Shavik a +75. Unfortunately, he takes another -75 there. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude Share the Shine here today. But I must tell you, it's absolutely enduring and delighting for me to see how the number of women and girls taking part in Tata Crucible has increased over the last couple of years. And the best part of it all is that the number increases consistently every year. So I think that's a huge takeaway for us. But now it's time for us to move into the next round. May I please request Big Brain to come on board and take it forward.
मिलावट का जमाना है जी। कितना पानी मिला है जी?
पानी प्योर है जी।
आपकी दवाइयाँ सर जी। थैंक यू जी। चलो कम से कम ऐसे में कोई दवाइयों पे सच्चाई का भरोसा दे, अच्छा तो लगेगा ना जी।
पर ये तो जेन्युइन है ना जी।
बिल्कुल भरोसेमंद है जी। It's 1 mg.
All right, thank you, Rashmi. Thank you so much for that. Truly sharing the shine at 75 years of Indian independence. with some phenomenal women who have really shaped and broken that glass ceiling, so to say, as one would say, but truly breaking barriers in very different areas. And I think that's the remarkable part. It's not about inheriting business leadership, but it's about breaking frontiers that has really made India different in its 75-year journey with women in business. For the moment, ladies and gentlemen, the game is looking tight. One of them, of course, will go through straight into the final. The other will go into the playoff round where two will qualify from that. As we move into the next frontier, Preetham ahead of the rest, but a lot can happen if they rely on their guts. Here it is. First one coming up on your screen now. For a portfolio-based branding, Kaivalya has gone for it very quickly.
This is the new logo of Mahindra.
Well, it's a new logo of Mahindra for a particular category or a portfolio.
The premium for
Fair
the
enough,
premium vehicle.
fair enough. Give that to you. The SUV category, they've unveiled a new logo and they're giving category specific identity, which is smart thinking from their perspective. And from a Kaivalya point of view, he gets a 75. So he draws level with IIM Ahmedabad, represented by Lucky. Preetham still ahead. As we go to the next one on your screen now. This is Sanjeev Bajaj. The question is, he's become the president of an important industry body. Lucky call. Go ahead, Lucky.
Yeah, CII, Confederation of Indian Industry.
Absolutely perfect. He's got that bang on target. The question was far more than just Sanjeev Bajaj. He's, of course, the chairman and I think managing director as well at Bajaj Finserv. On to the next one. Hands on the buzzer. Question on your screen now. China name Samahit stopping me completely. Yes, go ahead from Pune. You got to be louder. Just move your mic closer to you.
This is Paytm, Vijay Shekhar Sharma. He's the founder of Paytm.
He'll get that absolutely right. He'll get a 75 on that. He did not even require my question or my narrative that quick from Pune. He's on to a 75. I think four of them are on the positives. It can get interesting. As we go to the next one, not an easy one on your screens now. It's a term that was first used by the famous investor Benjamin Graham and people who followed him, Kaivalya.
So this is value investing when you buy a company at a much cheaper price than what it's actually worth.
Oh, that's the concept, but I very clearly asked you. The question mark points to a particular arrow mark there. I would have actually told you intrinsic value, value investing, all of that if I had been allowed to continue. The answer is between the buy zone and the intrinsic value is what you call the margin of safety. Margin of safety was the concept that the famous investor Benjamin Graham always looked at, and later, of course, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's always looked at what's my margin of safety. So not playing his margin of safety well here is Kaivalya. He lost a 75 on that one, but he's playing well. Scorecard may be nil for him at the moment, but he's certainly playing well. If he gets one or two together, he's a good contender. On to the next one on your screens. Important player in India. Who is this? Lucky's off in a flash.
Competition Commission of India, CCI.
Very well played. It's so important that ethical practices are followed by everyone, and to ensure that you have the Competition Commission of India. These are wonderful moves of organizations to comply with these. So India is a ground for fair play. Overall answer is what I require on the next one. Two of them I think on same scores, I'm not sure. As we go to the next one on your screen now. Yippee is a very important Lucky. Oh, from Yippee to Lucky. Go ahead.
ITC Limited.
Beautifully played. From Kitchens of India to Gamon, everything. Really big investments from ITC for a Western terrain. I'd like to believe this was an easier question. But sometimes what happens for us, you've got champions coming in from very different score backgrounds. very different terrains. So we balance out the questions and it turns out to be a quick buzz for some. Okay, the next one's a very specific answer. Moving on to the next one on your screens. Here it is. All of this will lead you to an extremely... Oh, Kaivalya is super fast.
I'll go with Saregama. They make the Caravan.
The Yudli Films was not an easy one to put it together. I think he really banked himself only on Caravan, but he'll get a 75. He needs a little bit of the rub of the green there. He's got one in that. Two more to go, and then we'll take a look at the binge board. I think Lucky and Preetham were also on the buzzers, but a little slower than Kaivalya. As we go on to the next question on your screens now. Avinya is an electric vehicle. Shavik has gone for it from Nagpur. Yes, Shavik?
This is the concept electric vehicle by Tata Motors.
Oh, brilliantly played. It's a 2025 debut according to them. And it is from Tata Motors for now, of course, as the world waits for Avinya. We still have a fabulous offer in the form of Tata Nexon, who are our partners here, leading the electric revolution in India in many ways, not just for the Tatas, is Nexon. Fabulous experience indeed in that car. As we go to the final one in this frontier, it's going to be tense moments here. Lucky, I think, is just ahead. I'm not sure. We'll take a look at the scores at the end of this. On your screen, here's the next one coming up now. This gentleman's name is John Villard. Shavik has gone for it.
Yeah, he is the founder of Marriott International.
Superbly answered. From the 1920s to this day, holding sway in the hospitality space is the Marriott Group. Extremely well played. He gets another 75. From Nagpur, he's beginning to negate the negatives that he took. But we'll take a look at where they stand on the other side of this very quick break. Back in just a moment.
एक सजेशन दूं जी.
क्या जी?
अपने टाटा प्ले के साथ बिंज ऐप ले लो जी.
क्यों जी?
आपके फेवरेट ओटीटी एप्स एक ऐप पे जी. मतलब नो अलग अलग पेमेंट, सिर्फ वन सब्सक्रिप्शन जी. और 12 एप्स के सारे कंटेंट इजी सर्च पे. मतलब नो ढूंढना, ओनली देखना जी.
मतलब टाइम ही टाइम जी.
थोड़ा हमारे लिए भी निकाल लेना जी.
अब टाटा प्ले के साथ लीजिए बिंज ऐप.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this game is far from over. We've got 4 of them contending here today. Samahit from Pune, Preetham, Lucky, Kaivalya. Who's going to go through? Who's going to go into the playoffs? But before that, a couple more audience questions for you. Here's one. I'm going to give you a name of a person who many do not know. Especially all you young kids in school. You love what came out of this man's thinking. But, well, do you know the answer? Let's see. The name is Asa, or Asa, A-S-A. Asa Griggs Candler is famous for actually establishing or making a brand prolific worldwide, and it was created by a man called John. All you got to tell me is which brand is this that you love consuming. Keen the answers. Here's one more question though for you. In 2018, just a couple of years before the pandemic broke, which supermarket chain has a new discount option chain called Jacks? That's J-A-C-K-S. You got to give me the name of the British retail giant that came up with Jacks. Key in those answers and you could win a prize. You're watching Tata Crucible. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're with me, Pig Brain, watching an absolutely riveting zonal final from the western terrain of India, Tata Crucible Campus Edition 2022. Why do I say riveting final? Here's what it is on the binge board that makes me give that comment. Lucky is on 300. He's just ahead of Preetham. Preetham is on 225. Behind him are Kaivalya and Samait on 75 apiece. In fact, they've answered more than the 75, but it's the ups and downs that they've taken that's got them there. Shavik has negated 150 to be back where he is. So all he's got to tell himself is, if I get another 150, then I'm in striking distance from these people. So everyone's really playing well. The next couple of questions will really determine who's going to go through from the Western Zonal to the big national final of this country. Time, ladies and gentlemen, for the 6 of them to go for glory. Here it is. As we move into the final frontier here at Tata Crucible at our zonal playoffs, time for us to pay tribute to 75 years of Indian independence as we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, with questions that pay tribute to great contributors, achievers, pioneers in the world of business, industry, brands, products, all of it. 75 the value as a tribute to 75 years of our independence, 5 seconds the time. One small caveat, none of the questions will appear on your screen. I read out the questions. You can choose where to buzz. So the decision making is in your hands, and the moment you buzz, I will stop narrating my story. So it's story time on India at 75. If we are ready, time for the first one. Hands on the buzzer, nothing appears on your screen. Here's my story. In the history of India and the 75 years of independence, I am the first in my category, promoted by erstwhile ICICI along with UTI. I was a pioneer in the rating space in India. Kaivalya's gone for it.
I'll go with Crisil.
Absolutely perfect. He'll get a 75. Kaivalya is not letting go of this battle. I think it's 150, 225, 300. 3 of them in that race. It's going to hot up. Moving on to our next question. The second one here today. The year was 1924. Mahatma Gandhi was at the opening ceremony when I came into existence. I came into existence from Naya Bazar in Delhi, now of course known as the Swami Shraddhananda Marg. Today, I am part. Preetham has gone for it. Yeah, Preetham.
Hindustan Times.
The Hindustan Times is absolutely correct. Preetham will get a 75 on that. And here is the next one coming in. Hands on the buzzer. He gets a 75. I think he's drawn level with Lucky. Question number 3. My journey started just before India became independent, in July of 1947. Chakrapani was the man who gave birth. Preetham's gone for it.
I'll say Chanda Mama.
Oh, superb quizzing. He's got a 75. Chanda Mama takes him forward with 3 questions to go. Lucky will have to fight back. Kaivalya will have a lot of work to do. This quiz is becoming a really tight one as Preetham from IIT Bombay has surged ahead with Hindustan Times Chanda Mama while Kaivalya got Crisil right. Alright, here's the next one. Hands on that buzzer. I started my journey in 1984. I was renamed as MG Express in 1993. It later changed to another entity with the Modi prefix. I later had a royal prefix. Lucky has gone for it.
Xerox. Then Modi Xerox.
Oh, he went on the Xerox route. He took a half chance there. Is Lucky minus 75 to him. Preetham will be happy with that negative. Look at that reaction. Explains the maturity of India's quizzers. Preetham does not get it right, but his fist goes up saying, okay, Lucky's got it wrong. The answer is Spice Jet. The Modi connection would have been Modi Luft, Royal Airways, MG Express. All right, we've got 2 questions to go here today. Lucky will really have to play out of his skin. But he'll also want to be careful somewhere because he knows finishing second will still give him a chance to make it to the national final. But Kaivalya is going to be watching that very quickly because if he gets one right, he's going to put a lot of pressure on Lucky. Pritam's going to be very happy as long as the rest of the 5 of them are playing. Well, 2 questions to go. Pritam needs them to get both right. So, well, he's played enough to know how to play at this level. Penultimate question. Here we go. This gentleman and his 4 sons started what was famously known as BOIL, the Bombay Oil Industries Limited, in 1947 when India came into existence. The company aimed to leverage the family's strength in commodities trade and combine it by manufacturing goods. In the 1990s, they underwent a massive restructuring exercise. The company got split into distinct companies controlled by Mariwala's children. Someone's gone for it. Samahit has gone for it. Oh, Samahit, yes.
I'm going Parachute.
You got to give me a group name.
Mariko.
Is correct. He'll get that absolutely right on Mariko or Mariko. And well, Pritam will be happy with Samahit getting that. He gets to 150. If Samahit gets the next one right, Lucky is in trouble. I quite forgot Samahit had a chance. I would apologize on that. Well, here is the next one, the final one of this quiz. Kaivalya will need it. Lucky will be watching it very carefully because he wouldn't want to take a negative. The year was 1910-1911. The Imperial University was the proposed name. Kaivalya stops me. Go ahead, Kaivalya.
Indian Institute of Science, along with founded by Tata.
From IIM Indore, Kaivalya will not give up on this battle. 75! And he forces a tiebreaker with IIM Ahmedabad, represented by Lucky. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a look at the binge board here today. What a finale from the West. Absolutely superb. On 150, it's Samahit from SLS Pune, who will tell himself, hey, I needed to get just one more right. And I was in that race as well. He's played brilliantly, but just falling short of one good answer. Lucky on 225 was caught between Kaivalya and Pritam. And that can happen sometimes in a quiz at this level. You don't know whether to go for glory or just play to go to the next round. Lucky was caught in that fire. Kaivalya said, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to give this a go here today. And that attitude has really kept Kaivalya in the game here as we go to the first tiebreaker question between the two of them. Whoever gets it right goes through. If you get it wrong, the other automatically goes through to play in the playoffs within the playoffs. But Pritam from IIT Bombay's SJM Som will march into the national final. Clinical, so it's IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, though this is the management school of IIT Bombay. But we've got 2 IITs powering their way into the national final. Let's see if which IIM gets through. One of them surely will. Here's my next question, only to the 2 of you. It's a Swedish clothing brand. Originally started in a shop called Hennes, Hennes. Kaivalya.
I'll go with H&M.
From IIM Indore with the sheer attitude to not give up, he is in the zonal. Oh, Kaivalya has gone into the zonal playoffs. He will live to fight another day. He's given Lucky Call a run for his money, forced him into a tiebreaker. Well, all I can say is Lucky has been unlucky. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it can happen sometimes in life. That's the only word I can use to describe for his scenario here today. From IIM Ahmedabad, an outstanding quizzer. But he will tell himself, I should have done far better than 225. That was his peril. I think he played really in a manner where he could have scored far more. Pritam sailing through with absolutely no problems. Kaivalya has been the fighter here today. No doubt they say fortune favors the brave. Kaivalya will come back to find 2 out of 4 slots which will be vacant for the runners up to battle among themselves. But ladies and gentlemen, that is really what a Tata Crucible is meant to be. It's these fabulous battles that give us our 7.2 million people who view it. It's not for nothing that we say these are the sharpest minds from across India. For the moment, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and privilege to bring on a young leader from the Tata fraternity, someone who's been through a lot of ups and downs as the industry has seen it today in the hospitality sector. You do not want to talk to a hospitality man on the last 2 years in this world. But these are groups, these are hotels that have innovated when the times pushed them with their back to their walls. These people have really emerged from a very difficult pandemic with innovation and creativity powering them forward. Currently, as the general manager of the president at Mumbai, which is now the IHCL selections, it's our pleasure and privilege to welcome our guest of honor here today, Mr. Melvin Saldana. Hi Melvin, thank you so much for joining us. Truly a pleasure to have a young leader from the Tata fraternity like you with us. Like I just said, no one wants to have a conversation with a hospitality guy about the last 2 years. But the remarkable thing has been the innovation that came out of the tough times. And in that context, if I may start with you, what's your advice to these youngsters?
Well, I could have given you a lot more advice being in the hospitality industry for the last 20 years. But I think all of us have learned our biggest lesson in the last 2 years of the pandemic. And I would think, keeping that in mind, my only advice to you is be perseverant. Let your minds free. Sometimes we get so caught up and we become so streamlined by what we've been taught in our families, by industrial professionals, in our colleges, and all of you are from IIM or IIT, that we sometimes refuse to take our blinkers off. And that's when the biggest hurdles come in. I mean, the pandemic, for instance, has made us open our minds so much that we've done things in the last 2 years that we never ever thought as a hotel chain or as a group we would ever do. I mean, can you ever imagine the Taj getting into food delivery systems? I would never have thought that we would ever have got into food delivery if the pandemic had not struck. And I think that came out from the very simple process of us having to just forgetting what we had learned in all of these times or all of this 100 years that the group has been existent, and put on a very different thinking cap and said, forget whatever you've learned, start learning all over again. And that's when all of these ideas emerged. So don't stop yourselves from thinking out loud. No idea is stupid. No suggestion is irrelevant. No question is again irrelevant. Question everything that you know of. Question everything that you've been taught of. And question every professor that walks into that class. It makes life a little more interesting. It makes life a little more innovative.
So well said. I think that is so well said for these youngsters. Thank you so much, Melvin. Truly profound, those words for all these youngsters. Well, Rashmi and me truly miss, in fact, trivia for all these youngsters. Sometimes when we do these extensive trips, we do northern terrain, and then we do the west, and then we finally come, and sometimes we tend to stay a lot at the President, and Konkan becomes our reminder of the south. We miss the food at Konkan, and we would be like, oh, yes, we're back to Konkan. So we truly miss that. Look forward to being back. But for now, thank you so much for your time. Well, the Taj certainly has been synonymous with Tata Crucible. Many of these youngsters through their college life have been there because many of them are familiar faces at a Tata Crucible, especially at a Western terrain. But as we stay on with our guests to do the honors digitally with the prizes or the appreciation here today, there are no cash prizes today because it's a qualifier round. Finishing runner-up here today representing IIM Indore and living to fight another day will be Kaivalya. Absolutely well played. Congratulations, Kaivalya. Truly, truly remarkable. I really appreciate the sportiveness and Lucky there. Lucky knows he fought a good day, but he really had tough contenders and it's never an easy terrain in the West. So well done, Kaivalya, reciprocating that appreciation there. That's the spirit that will really take you all forward. Wonderful. But in all of that, ladies and gentlemen, calm, collective, knew when he had to buzz. When he buzzed, he really buzzed strong. He did have a couple of occasions where I had to change the questions impromptu because unfortunately the connectivity was not as powerful as his thoughts today. Well, Preetham certainly had his thoughts in place, but he will be happy irrespective that he is in the top 6 of this country. Congratulations, Preetham. Extremely well played, clinical and comfortably through to the big final. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a last word from our guest of honor before we let him go. Maybe a wish for Preetham and Kaivalya.
All the very best. Keep at it. The one thing that I want to say in this with all the 6 of you is that if I were in your chair, I would have been very jittery and very nervous and very anxious. But that's something that I did not see. I mean, all 6 of you were so calm, were so composed. And I think sometimes that's very important because it helps you gather your thoughts and helps you think much better. But all the best to the 2 winners. But all the very best to the other 4 is because to me, reaching the finals is as good as a winner. At the end of the day, when 2 teams play, only one wins, but the other one is not a loser. The other one is a winner as well. Just that the winner took that one step ahead, but even the loser is a winner. So for me, I think all of you are winners. All the very best. Do well and do something new that's exciting. All right. So thank you and all the best. And thank you for having me over. It's always a pleasure to be part of Tata Crucible. These are quizzes that we perhaps didn't have the aptitude to ever get to. But it's always a pleasure to be part of it. Thank you so much for having me over. And all the best to everyone.
Well, that's his humility there. Taj have been outstanding contestants when it comes to the corporate side of Tata Crucible. Because the funny part with all these people from the Taj is when you put up these business leaders as questions, they realize, oh, he was my guest, I know the answer. So, you know, so that's the way they answer. That's the way they answer business questions. But thank you so much, Melvin, for joining us. Truly delighted to have you and look forward to being back with you at the Konkan. So, ladies and gentlemen, time for us to thank young Melvin Saldana there. Remarkable words from him and learnings that he has shared with you all as youngsters playing this quiz and all those of you watching this. So at the end of the second big round here today at the zonal levels, at the playoffs, it is Preetham who goes into the national final of this quiz. Kaivalya will live to fight another day as he goes into the playoff within the playoffs. He will be joined there, of course, with the other qualifier into the playoff within the playoffs, which is Dr. Murtuza from Hyderabad. So that's going to be a handful for him to contend with, as 2 more will qualify from the northern and the eastern terrain. But for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, it's Preetham into the national final. Intention from our end, whether it's Rashmi or me, is never to put pressure on all the others. But let me now share with you that he is in the national final. It's a defending champion back in the national final. So it's just fair for me that I hold it till there and not put undue pressure on the others. Not that people at this league do not know who's the defending champion. I mean, he's been playing this game like a Federer would for many turfs now. So extremely well done, Preetham, as he moves into the big final. And to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with the 3rd zonal from the northern terrain of India. We've got some remarkable qualifiers in that terrain. Who's going to make it from there? That's the next episode coming up. From me and my young colleague Rashmi, thank you all for tuning in. Continue to stay safe till we come back to you with the next one. For now, thank you for tuning in.